Good morning. It's Stephen McCarthy from McCarthy Group. This morning I have a special guest, Jared Abersky, prominent land developer and property identity from the Cairns property market. I've asked Jared to come down and talk to us this morning about what is happening in the Cairns property market. Good morning, Jared.
Good morning, Stephen.
Tell us, Jared, the market up there has just been hit by cyclone, and we're really interested down here in Sydney how the cyclone is affecting the local market, and what do you believe will be the result is the reconstruction?
Well, Stephen, you were fortunate enough to be part of Cyclone Larry and what that did for your investors in 2005.
Just refresh us on that, Jared.
Well, I've had the pleasure of dealing with the McCarthy Group for quite some time, and in one of the opportunities that arose for your investors, we actually ran a specific seminar with you guys in 2005 regarding what was going to happen as a result of Cyclone Larry. And in that time, we forecast $2.4 billion of pure reconstruction work, insurance work, residential, commercial, industrial, government, local, state, federal asset rebuilding. That translated to be around about 2.58 million, they say, which is over $800 million a year, which is $15 million a week extra expenditure in our local economy.
That was a lot of cash floating around there at that time.
And that sort of money goes round and round, Stephen. It doesn't just sort of get spent once. It goes through the community again and again as it filters through.
And, of course, we saw property values rising quite substantially over the period, didn't we?
Fueled heavily on the basis of a resource issue, where as soon as that volume of work instantly comes, there's work aplenty. Material supply becomes short, so straight away the cost to produce anything has increased. The pressures are on to supply new land when there's that demand for housing, because in Labrie we saw something like 25,000 people displaced. Yassi has actually been a blessing for everybody in North Queensland because...
A blessing?
Well, it was, because, look, it struck between Townsville and Cairns. It struck in the least most populated part. If it had hit Cairns or Townsville, it would have been an evident disaster to our nation that we would have never forgot. But it's only 18,000 people displaced. And I know that sounds awful, but that's the truth. It's 18,000 people on the move.
Where are they going to be accommodated?
Predominantly Cairns, because Townsville received a lot more flooding than Cairns, in part. So Cairns survived it and weathered it much better.
So with
Premier Bligh has actually said Cairns will be the restoration centre for the project.
So we've seen a downturn in the market there, including an increase in rental vacancy. So largely that should be absorbed. Well,
I'm glad you've touched on that, because certainly GFC, there was a lot of issues. Unemployment was touching 14% in September 09 quarter. Vacancy rate went up to 5-odd%. But since GFC to now, we're actually seeing the unemployment rate 6.8%, and that's without any of the flow-on of what we're going to endure.
That's a massive reduction.
Massive, and you've got to back that up with over 2% population growth each and every year. So even though unemployment was going up, the population was coming. So now the numbers have increased to find the jobs for them. We're back at 6.8. So that's a very encouraging figure for a start. Vacancy rate at present is 3.3%.
That's fantastic.
And it's decreased at a consistent rate for the last 2 years.
Well, with the vacancy rate that tight, we should probably start seeing an increase in rentals.
We went through a very tough period where property prices were affected, as everywhere was after GFC. Those property prices have now plateaued. We're now seeing rent prices starting to build again. Rent prices are back to pre-GFC levels, generally speaking, for four-bedroom homes again. Mm-hmm. But what we do have today that we didn't have then is much more affordability, because everybody's going through it, has been through a tough time. So land stocks that exist are at irreplaceable prices, because all new land will have much higher federal, state and local infrastructure burden costs, to the effect of headworks on a block of land in Cairns being 14,000, now being 35,000. So the existing stock has that extra value in it compared to new stock. Building prices today are much more attractive than 2 years ago.
Building prices have come down.
Subcontract prices always come down. Competitive has come down. When you're in a rising market with abundant volume, people certainly take advantage of it, and industry has all its advantages of profitability and the fact that there's so many people doing everything and anything and not doing it properly. We're back to very efficient builders in the market. We're back to very competitive base with quality subcontractors. Right now, the price that we deliver a product for is irreplaceable, both on land value and on construction value. And the delivery process today is far more efficient and better quality than it was 2 years ago.
So it sounds like you're saying is that the market has sharpened itself up. It's lost a lot of its fat.
Oh, this is a crackerjack period for a property investor right now in Cairns. We're the cheapest land on the east coast of Australia, and our building price in the package offering is somewhere around about 16-18% cheaper than it was 2 years ago.
Okay, but that must be under some upward pressure now, given the construction that's underway.
Once we see, you're absolutely correct. Once we see that escalation in available work with the redevelopment, reconstruction of Cyclone Yasi, you will see that figure change for the construction side particularly.
Okay, and anything else of note happening in the Cairns market?
Where would you like me to start? I've never been not guilty of being an optimist, but I am a realist. We certainly have gone through GFC far better than people perceived. Cairns, we're back with tourism levels. Arrivals domestic are higher than pre-GFC. The bounce back from international is 50% better than it was immediately after GFC. We've got new airlines flying in. We've got Cathay now doing a daily run, not twice a week. We're getting either Korean or Taiwanese coming in now. The Chinese market is just awash with people. It's fantastic.
Discovering their prosperity, huh?
Very much so. And a lot of people don't realise that the Chinese is a very contained market. They're only allowed to travel to certain destinations in the world. And they watch their dollars in and dollars out, export-import currencies. And
Cairns is clearly one of those.
Australia's their preferred destination. Australia is one of China's top 3 preferred destinations because of the trade figures. So Cairns does very nicely out of that.
Okay. Anything else that of note that our investors would be encouraged to hear about?
How much time have you got?
Oh, we're already in our last minute or two here, Jared. So
look,
give us your best shot.
Look, the staples are solid. Tourism's improved. The convention centre is now still holding its position as the 3rd best convention centre in the world. We are actually at number 2 at a point. The tourist bookings in that are astounding, the future bookings. For people in Sydney, Cairns is the 2nd most visited place in Australia by tourists through the white boat industry and through cruises. So we've got a huge increase in that. We've just completed our new facility on the wharf for the cruise centre, so that's $150 million redevelopment. We've just finished the $220 million redevelopment of the Cairns Airport, which finally is a pleasure to fly into as opposed to the last 2 years. Thank God they did it during the GFC downturn. We've got $450 million being spent on our local hospital. The government spend in 2009-2010 in our region was $2 billion without anything else. Now, when we see Yasi come in, and we're forecasting again that $2.4 billion spend, that's a double expenditure. Okay. So we're going to see a huge turn. People don't look at the fishing industry in Cairns, $680 million a year. We've got 4,100 registered commercial vessels in Cairns. That industry for fishing is one of the largest fishing bases in Australia, over 400 vessels, $680 million a year in commercial fishing.
Okay, just to summarise, Jared, Cairns is coming off a low base, but our tourism numbers are increasing. Construction prices are set to rise. Land prices are set to rise. An existing investor in that marketplace must get a lot of encouragement as to where the market is about to head. We've got billions of government money being spent in and around the local region. That should, again, translate to both higher construction prices and the rising of house prices.
Absolutely, Stephen. Property investing is a long-term proposition.
Absolutely.
And when you're in the market, you look for the times we're about to enter into right now to give you comfort and support.
Okay, Jared, thank you very much for the update. We'll keep our investors, we'll keep giving them news as it comes to hand. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Stephen.